Good afternoon. So it's been another very interesting day in news, a very busy day in news, but today is not all bad in news. There was one particular story that I was unaware of. I didn't even know it was going on. And I got a notification on my computer on Facebook, of all things, that our local news station, KMOV, was going live to cover this. And so I immediately tuned in and took a listen. And I was just absolutely shocked. I was in awe. To this moment, I don't even know how or what to do with my reaction. It's joy, it's excitement, it's finally some accountability, and I see bits and pieces of accountability here and there, but not to this kind of level, not like this. This is a breakthrough, a huge breakthrough for the citizens of this country. And I hope this is only the beginning. I really, really, really do. So I'm going to start out with that, and start out with that news story, and then we'll go from there. But this took the cake. This definitely took the cake today. What I am referring to is this. Cop who shot Chicago teen 16 times found guilty of murder. I couldn't believe it. I sat there and I listened to the verdict being read, and he was found guilty of murder, and he was found guilty of 16 counts of, I think it was aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, something to that effect. But he was found not guilty on let's see, the misconduct charge. That was the only thing. Let me go ahead and read the article, and I'll go from there. A guilty verdict has been reached in the trial of Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke, who fatally shot black teenager Laquan McDonald 16 times as the teen was walking away from him. The slow rollout of the facts of the case and revisions to the official narrative sparked massive protest across the city with the cry, 16 shots in a cover-up. Before the verdict was announced, the judge in the case warned that anyone making any kind of scene or outcry during the announcement of the verdict would be arrested immediately. So I don't want anyone second-guessing them. They've done an outstanding job, he said of the jury. Protests were expected to sweep the city had Van Dyke been found not guilty. Van Dyke was found guilty of second-degree murder and 16 counts of aggravated battery, one for each bullet he shot McDonald with. He was found not guilty on a misconduct charge. The officer, who was suspended from the Chicago Police Department pending the outcome of the criminal trial, was denied bail and taken out of the courtroom in handcuffs. Second-degree murder charges typically carry prison sentences of under 20 years. The judge told the courtroom that he appreciated everyone's participation in the trial on both sides, the supporters of Van Dyke and those of McDonald. He also thanked the press, whom he said increased the transparency of the trial. Van Dyke fatally shot McDonald on October 20th, 2014. While the misconduct charge against Van Dyke was not upheld, many in the city accused the police department, the mayor, and district attorney of engaging in a cover-up. Police initially said that McDonald lunged at them and waved a knife at them before they fired, but dash cam footage released more than a year later showed he did not, and he was walking away from officers. The switch knife McDonald was holding was found closed at the scene. In April of 2015, Van Dyke was charged with murder, the first officer to face such a charge in 35 years of Chicago history over an on-duty killing. Let me say that again. We're talking about Chicago. I mean, you want the cream of the crop of corruption, and that's Chicago. Chicago's probably the most corrupt city in the United States. Hands down. Okay, so I'm going to read that again. The first officer to face such a charge in 35 years of Chicago history over an on-duty killing. The only video of the incident that did not come from police was taken by a surveillance camera at a Burger King fast food restaurant. After the shooting, officers entered the restaurant and were seen using their computers. However, an 86-minute gap in the footage during the time of the shooting was discovered by police investigators the following day. So there you go. And this is the particular dash cam video here. We'll go ahead and play it. Well, there you go. You know, it's great that this is a start. It's great that this is a start. But what is sad, you know, there's become a cliche saying in law enforcement whenever there's a killing, and that is that they were in fear for their lives. Well, you know what? I think the reason why a lot of people run from police today is because they are in fear for their lives. Okay? And I don't hold that loosely whatsoever. I don't have a short memory. I remember the Bundys being on trial, and I remember them not even being allowed to bring up their emotions in a court of law. They were not even allowed to say that they were in fear. That is insane. But officers can take lives. The Bundys didn't take anybody's life. Officers can take lives and use that as a bogus, no pun intended, cop-out excuse as to why they took a life. And it's frustrating. It's beyond frustrating. You know, we need to reach an era in this country, a stage to where it's not that they're in fear for their lives, but they're in fear to put on a badge. And I don't mean that in a physical threatening kind of way. I mean that in a legal threatening kind of way. That, you know, they're going to be held accountable, and they're going to be held to that higher standard that they're supposed to be held to. And this goes for not just law enforcement, but this goes for all of government. Your mayors, your city councils, your president, your Congress, all of them. Every single last one of them needs to be held to that higher standard that they claim that they have. See, there's, you know, a lot of symbolism in this country, and I talk about that a lot. And part of that symbolism is this whole idea of this higher standard that they're supposedly held to. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. Now, this was a pretty clear-cut case. Okay, this, you know, but so was Eric Garner. Eric Garner was a clear-cut case. In my opinion, Tamir Rice was a clear-cut case. I have covered I don't know how many cases on this show in the 5 years that we've been doing it that were pretty clear-cut cases. And nothing ever came of it. Absolutely nothing. Finally, we got something. Let's hope it don't end here. Let's hope that this is a beginning. And I've seen a turnaround. I have seen that, and I must say that. I have seen a turnaround. I have seen slowly more and more accountability had. Unfortunately, you know, in comparison to how much there should be and how much we're getting is very slim. But hey, you know, as long as we start this trend and we keep increasing and we keep getting this done right, we've got a chance. We've got a chance to turn this around. I've said it many times. I'm not anti-government. I'm not anti-police. I'm anti-bullshit. I'm anti this bullshit that's going on in this country, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's Congress members, whether it's judges, courts. I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm absolutely tired of it. When I went to school, every morning we recited the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. And you know what? I took those words to heart as a child. I don't know why, but it meant something to me, and it was special to me. There wasn't a single day that I didn't stand and put my hand on my heart and that I didn't say it. And I'm not one to sit there and just repeat things. I'm not that kind of person. I'm a free thinker. I'm an individual thinker. Walmart would get so pissed off at me when I worked at them because I wouldn't say their stupid cheer at every meeting before we went to work. Hell no, I won't. Hell no, I won't. I'm not into that. But I had no problem saying the Pledge of Allegiance, and I wouldn't have any problem today saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd say it every single day. Not a problem with it. Because I stand behind it. Now, if I didn't stand behind it, I wouldn't say it. That's just the kind of person I am. But when you talk about liberty and justice for all, I take that seriously. I take that very, very seriously. And I know just within my life, I've had so much injustice from the court systems. I've had injustice and I've had no justice at all. I've had more of no justice at all than what I have injustice. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. And if you think criminal courts are bad, holy cow, you should check out the family courts. The family courts is just unreal. I don't know if I've ever told this. I'll spend a minute and I'll tell you a story real quick. I don't know if I ever told this story on the air. I may have. My oldest boy, his name's Trey. And when he was young, this was around 1999, 2000, somewhere in there. And I never had a problem seeing him. Every other weekend, not a big deal. It wasn't court ordered or anything like that. Never had a problem seeing him. His mother was not the one taking care of him. His mom's mom was, his grandma on his mother's side. She was the one. And so she never gave me a problem with seeing Trey or anything like that. Never had a problem. And I appreciated that. I highly appreciated that. That's mountains better than the piece of crap that is my ex. So anyway, I had one problem though. And that problem was I paid child support. It was always there. It was on time. They took it out of my check. I didn't have a choice, right? But that money wasn't going towards my son. Here's what was happening. My son's grandma had legal guardianship of my son. And we could get into all that, it's absolutely stupidity. I'm used to being called the bad guy, okay? I was the bad guy then. I'm the bad guy now. I'm used to it. I'll always be the bad guy. I don't give a fuck. I don't. Just being frank with you. I don't care. Think of me what you will. Doesn't bother me. So that's why I didn't have my son. I just wanted to clear that up. I didn't have my son because it would have been a court battle. Because once again, I'm the bad guy. Right? His mother ran out on him, by the way, but I'm the bad guy. So anyway, I was paying child support, and what would happen, instead of his grandma getting that check and using that money on him or whatever, I didn't care, because she was taking care of him. I didn't care if she went out and bought herself a new dress with it. I don't care. She's taking care of my son, and she was doing a pretty good job of it. So, you know what? It didn't matter to me. But instead of her getting that money, this is what was happening. She worked a regular full-time job, too. And before she could get home from work, my son's mom was going in and getting that check, getting into the mailbox and getting that check and going and cashing it. Okay? Now, the problem here is the check was in her name. The check was in his mother's name. Okay, so I thought, Well, I only know of one way to fix this. And that would be to have the child support put in the grandmother's name. So that then if she continued to do so, well, that would involve forgery and theft, and it could be dealt with on a criminal level. So the woman that I was with at the time, she's like, let's do this, and let's get you legal visitation, so you've got something on paper. 2 years. 2 years of battling in court. Thousands of dollars in attorney's fees. And what happened? Well, this is what happened. I got a little less than what normal, the normal visitation type of stuff. A little less, not much. I'm not complaining about that. Little less. But, and I did get the check changed names. I did get that done. That happened. But it took 2 years battling. When a mother was committing a criminal offense, technically. I mean, yes, the check was in her name. But the legal guardian was the grandmother. She had already went to court and got legal guardianship and all that. Okay, so it still may have been criminal. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But let me tell you about before then. Okay, because this could have been nipped in the bud long before. Long before. I couldn't tell you if it was like my first court visit or my second court visit. It was somewhere in there. It was right at the beginning of going to court for child support. Right in the beginning. I showed up for court. I was there. The mother wasn't there. The grandmother was there. The mother wasn't there. I was there. And my name was called. And I don't know what the guy was. I don't think he was. I think he was some type of state's attorney or whatever. And so he called my name and the grandmother's name, and we stood up and we sat down at the table. And I started to speak up. I wanted to say right then and there, because I knew that my son's mom was trash. And I knew what was going to happen. I was born at night, but not last night. And the mother, wasn't taking care of my son for very long before, essentially what happened is my parents got together with her and told her flat out, under no uncertain terms, somebody does something. Somebody gets that boy away from her, or, we will. Either you do it or we'll do it. One of the two. But this is going to get dealt with, because I'm telling you, she was trash. She would leave my son with people she didn't even really know, that she had just met, while she went out and would go get drugs and alcohol so they could party. Okay, this is the type of quote-unquote mother I'm talking about. So anyway, right as I was sitting down, I was going to make that request that the child support be put in the grandmother's name. And that guy looked at me and he said, "You sit down and shut up. I'm the one that does the talking here." That is the court system we've got, folks. That is the court system we've got. We've got a bullshit three-ring circus is what we've got. We don't have a court system. We absolutely do not. So to see this case and to see this outcome is a very welcome thing to me. Because in my experience, it's not often that I've seen justice. And I damn sure haven't seen equality. 5 years since I've seen my boys, my older two boys. 5 years. I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong but marry a bitch with a vengeance. That's all I did. That's my only crime. It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So it was welcome news today. It really, I don't know even how to react. I'm so happy about it. I don't even know how to react. I wanted to, I wanted to go outside and yell, like a happy yell, okay? And I didn't, I refrained, but that's kind of what I wanted to do. I told Jen, I had Jen on the phone, she had called me, and it was right after they read the verdict, and I told her, and she was at the store, and she yelled. So, I mean, it's a welcome thing. And I hope it's just the beginning. I really do. We need justice in our justice system. Well, let me go ahead and run through. Let me go ahead and run through the other stuff. And here I am. I got myself all. I did have it scrolled down to where I needed to start, but you know how that goes. But let me run through the financial stuff real quick before we get started on news stuff here. Looks like we're at 12:57 on YouTube. So thank you for those super chats. That was Evil and Aaron that put in those super chats. So thank you very much. That will go over. I don't know if it'll be like the between the 10th and the 15th of this month or the next month. And as my promise, you got to pay me to shut the hell up. As my promise. What is going on with this is we've got $45.11 setting in Google AdSense. It takes $100 to cash out, to reach our threshold to cash out. So what we're doing is we're doing a super chat drive because I sure don't do very good on videos. They tend to like to demonetize us. I'm waiting for it to load here. So yesterday's monologue, which there really wasn't much to it. They left that monetized. Let's see, and I've got this monologue here monetized. Now, this full show, I don't know, this is a fluke. They left it monetized, but the full shows are unlisted, so it's not like they're going to get many views. So it is what it is, but yeah, that's it. But you see, like the monologue from yesterday, that was 18 views. So in order for us to make anything from that is like not going to happen. So anyway, what the point is we're going to reach our $100 threshold here so we can cash out. And then live during a monologue, I'm going to go in and I'm going to cancel our Google AdSense account, therefore demonetizing the Watchman News for good, forever. We're going to get away from it. I'm going to lead by example and say, you know what? I didn't start the news about money. I didn't expect to make news about the money, and it's not going to finish about the money. It never has been about the money. I'll just be damned if I give Google $45.11. I'll be damned if I give them that. Anyway, that's I'm the type of person that I'm like my dad. Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's not. But I'm the type of person that somebody screwed me over on a car or something like that, and it was back in my possession, I'd burn the damn thing. If I'm just, it's just the way I am, you know. I'm all about principle, and Google has screwed us out of enough as it is. I'm not going to allow them to do it anymore. So anyway, that's what's up with that. Let me run through the headlines, and we'll go from there. I thought this was good. Judge Andrew Napolitano talked about Brett Kavanaugh, and I thought it was really interesting, and I've been talking about this for a little while now. I've been talking about how the conversation that we're having shouldn't be about these sexual assault allegations by somebody that can't even remember anything but Judge Kavanaugh. We should be talking about all these different instances to where he violated the Constitution. And I just found out, I just seen another instance today. There was somebody, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. My memory's failing me. But there was somebody in one of the whole big body line from the Clintons that shot themselves. That supposedly they shot themselves in the back of the head twice, and it was ruled a suicide. It was a guy. I know there's a lot of body bags when it comes to the Clintons. But anyway, his name's escaping me right now. But anyway, it was Judge Kavanaugh that signed off on that being ruled a suicide. Okay? It's it usually, you know, when somebody shoots himself in the back of the head twice, and you know, it's not suicide. It's murder. But Brett Kavanaugh signed off on that being a suicide. So I would be a little bit concerned with that, right? I'd be a little bit concerned with that. But we're gonna kick on over here, over to YouTube, and we are going to watch this video. We are going to see, as soon as I can get the link to pop up for me here. Hang on, I'll get it. We're going to see what Judge Andrew Napolitano has to say. Now, he's somebody that I would think Red Team would be a little more apt to listen to.
Your right to think as you wish, to say what you think, to publish what you say. Your right to develop your own personality. I've told O'Reilly 100 times he better be grateful that that's a natural right. Your right to worship or not to worship. Your right to associate or not to associate. Your right to defend yourself, which of course is not the right to shoot deer, it's the right to shoot at tyrants if they take over the government and we have to drive them away or we have to secede, just as we seceded from Great Britain. Your right to stay in your house without the government's troops coming in, the Third Amendment, and the quintessential American right in the Fourth, the right to be left alone, which of course today we call privacy. The Fourth is the most unique one because it says the people, it doesn't say the citizens, it says the people shall not be interfered with in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. Persons, houses, papers, and effects, except by a warrant signed by a judge based on probable cause. Probable cause means probable cause of crime. It doesn't mean probable cause that you're talking to a book agent in Florence, a real case in which the NSA was listening to a conversation in Italian. They thought they were hearing a terrorist. They were just hearing a guy in New York trying to buy a book from the book agent in Florence. When the case came to court, the judge said, well, there's no prosecution here. They didn't come after you for anything you said. Therefore, there's no violation of the Fourth Amendment. Who wrote that opinion? See if you've heard of this guy. About which more later. Okay, so now we have to ask ourselves some questions. And the questions are, is this for real? Does the government really believe in the natural law tradition? Is this for real? Has anybody really consented to the government? But do you know anybody that's consented to the Constitution? I mean, do you consent to the Constitution by voting? Suppose you don't vote. Do you consent to the government if the people you voted for are not in the government? Do you consent to the government by walking on the sidewalk? If the government really believes that our laws are natural, then how could we have the Patriot Act, which permits federal agents to write their own search warrants, forgetting the requirement that only judges can issue search warrants under the Fourth Amendment? I could tell you stories about the Patriot Act, but not only does it permit federal agents to write their own search warrants, so FBI agent A writes a search warrant authorizing FBI agent B, there's got to be at least two of these characters involved in this, and then B can serve the search warrant. And when they serve the search warrant, they say, by the way, you can't tell anybody that we served this on you. That's another violation. You can't tell anybody. The government's going to enforce silence. What about Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech? What young lawyer was the scrivener when they were putting together the Patriot Act? There he is. Now you know why I was willing to get my fingers burned by pointing this out 10 days ago.
So there you have it. So there you have it. Absolutely insane. That's why I keep saying it was a rope-a-dope. This whole thing with Ford and the other accusers, it was a rope-a-dope. See, because the American people can't help but get caught up in a sex scandal. You know, back in Clinton's administration, we had a lot of the same thing. We had the Clinton supporters. Oh no, he didn't touch Monica, and you had the those that were against Clinton. Well, he was guilty. And here it is, all these years later, and still, guess what? Nobody really knows what went on. But I can tell you this: I can tell you that Monica Lewinsky had an insanely high security clearance. And I can tell you that Monica Lewinsky went on many, many, many trips by herself. Well, I'm sure she had security, but, she wasn't with Clinton. She's an intern. And she's taking trips to China. Where later it would be found out that she was delivering military secrets. Up to and including our stealth technology secrets. And the entire country was distracted with the sex scandal. Now, I'm not saying whether or not he had sexual relations with that woman. I don't know. I wasn't there. Thank God I wasn't there. But I do know that there was more underlying that nobody ever got to because of that sex scandal. Same thing here. We got rope-a-doped because everybody was talking about this Ford chick and the others. Not so much the others, but Ford. And nobody was talking about what Napolitano pointed out. And I commend him for pointing it out. I commend him for putting his fingers on the fire, however you want to word it, like he said. I commend him. Thank you. That is a judge that I will appreciate and that I will thank. Anyway, let's continue on. I wanted to really point that out. School cop in training charged with raping 12-year-old girl multiple times. It's a sad story. Any of these stories, you go to our Twitter, and they're all right there. That's where I'm getting them from right here as I'm reading them, right on Twitter. I also put them out on Facebook. So I did read that story. Absolutely insane. India and Russia formally ink $5.4 billion S-400 air defense system deal. That's insane. That is insane. I'm not against it. I'm just saying it's insane. So I wonder now what kind of backlash India's going to get because they did this, and we'll see. If they a lot of it's just nothing but circus. Okay, so I don't know if India will face any retribution at all. Russian MiG-29 fighter jet crashes in Moscow region. Russia to summon Dutch ambassador amid hacking accusations. And there's a lot of that. Germany's even getting in on that. We'll get to that here momentarily. French authorities launch probe into disappearance of Interpol chief. Hope he's not in the same place Jimmy Hoffa is, or they'll never figure it out. UK policeman deliberately driven at, I don't know if it's Leicester area on lockdown. Car crashes into cafe in Berlin, at least 5 injured. Cop caught on own body cam stealing dying elderly man's money instead of helping him. No jail. No jail. Right? Man was dying. Elderly man dying, and a cop steals his money and gets a free pass. Insane. Trump claims protesters against Kavanaugh's nomination paid by Soros and others. U.S. Senate holds key procedural vote on Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation. Let's see. This is another crazy case. Look what I bought for show and tell. Jailers laugh at a veteran, a man that went and served this country. Jailers laughed at him while he was suffering from an overdose. And he did die. Instead of getting him medical attention, they just stood there and laughed. And one of them joked about taking him to school and saying, hey, look what I brought for show and tell. Is this the America? The America, I'm saying America. Is this the America that you want to stand for and condemn people because they kneel for this very crap? That's what drives me insane. People support the troops, support the troops. Are you going to support them here? We got to make that choice. We got to stop just running with the herd because it feels good and it's safe and warm and fuzzy. And we have to start truly looking at right and wrong, discerning right and wrong, and then standing for it. Regardless if you lose friends, regardless if you make enemies. This isn't about a popularity contest, folks. Most of us are a bit too old to win homecoming king and queen. And what we allow to be done to others will be eventually done to us. Scientists unveil plan to stave off global pandemics with a Noah's Ark of bacteria. It's kind of crazy. I seen that and I was like, uh-oh. A majority of Senate agrees to advance Kavanaugh nomination to final vote. I do believe the vote's going to be Saturday. Carbon monoxide leak at Chinese power plant kills 5. U.S. Navy veteran charged over ricin threat against Trump, FBI head, and Pentagon. Russian embassy demands info on alleged cyber attacks from the UK. Saudi prince allows Turkey to search consulate for missing journalist. Cop who shot Chicago teen 16 times found guilty of murder. I read that and spoke about it. Murder, torture, sex assault, MI5, and informants authorized to commit crimes in the UK. The court hears. Insane. Now this is transparency. NATO to deploy 45,000 troops near Russian border. Calls it defensive. Right? Because, how dare those Russians live in their country? How dare those Russians build all those foreign military bases all around them? Damn Russians. Russian hackers mania spreads. Germany joins accusations against Moscow. This isn't going to wind up pretty, folks. It's not. Digital strip search. Listen to this. And this isn't the only story similar to this. Digital strip search. New Zealand travelers to be fined if they refuse to hand over passwords. Right? So in China we have this whole social score thing going on. Now New Zealand, you're going to be forced to hand over your passwords to social media. And what happens if you say, well, I don't have a Facebook account? And you honestly don't. Then what happens? Do they arrest you for something like obstruction or something? Are we going to be required? Are we going to be giving a mandatory Facebook account? Is that what's next? Who would think she'd kill and eat a person? 12-year-old cannibal was a regular kid who liked anime. I would say that's not quite such a regular kid. I don't know. I've got 3 boys. I don't think any of them have ever had a desire to eat a human being. I know I've never had a desire to eat a human being. I don't think that somebody who does is quite regular. Eat snow and pray. Helicopter pilot rescued after 4 nights stranded on freezing mountain. China announces, here we go. China announces new cybersecurity regulation letting police copy ISP info. Just what they need, right? And out of Sputnik, Pentagon ill-equipped to fight 2 wars simultaneously. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up the monologue there, and we'll continue with the rest of the live show. For those that are here for the live show, just sit tight. For those that just watched the monologue, I'd like to say thank you, and as always, God bless you, we love you, and be one with your spirit.